Picture this. One completely normal morning, alarms are buzzing. The world is going about its business until suddenly every single human being just vanishes. Control-Alt-Delete, bye-bye humans. A silence so thick it would make the loudest city sound like the middle of the desert. The cities remain standing. Cars keep rolling down highways until they crash into guardrails, and televisions keep playing to living rooms that no longer have anyone to argue over the remote. The lights are still glowing, the machines are still running, but the people, the very thing that kept all of it alive, are gone. So, what happens now? What becomes of our homes, our pets, our monuments, and our planet if humanity just checks out overnight? Let's walk through the bizarre timeline of a world without us. The first few hours. At first, the apocalypse is less fire and brimstone, more awkward silence. Without drivers at the wheel, cars slam into each other on highways. The ones on autopilot keep going until they run out of fuel. Planes in the air, those are coming down fast. Within hours, hundreds of aircraft lose their pilots and crash into oceans, forests, and cities. Meanwhile, ships drift endlessly across oceans. Oil tankers, cruise liners, and cargo ships become giant floating islands, colliding or running around. Power plants hum along for a short while, sticking to routine. But without humans pulling levers and fixing problems, the world's electrical grids start collapsing within days. Cities once glowing with neon lights suddenly go dark. Nuclear power stations kick into emergency cooling mode, which sounds safe until you realize nobody's around to maintain them. Give it a few weeks and those safety systems become ticking time bombs. It's like leaving the oven on while going on vacation, except instead of burning a casserole, you risk melting half the continent. In 1 week. By the end of the first week, the world has already started changing. Subway tunnels and underground passages begin to flood as the pumps that kept them dry shut down. Sewers overflow, streets start cracking as maintenance stops and nature begins prying at the edges. Pets inside apartments are in big trouble. Larger dogs, desperate and hungry, break free and eventually form packs. Cats, on the other hand, do what they do best: slip out of windows and doors, immediately start hunting birds and mice, and live their absolute best feral life. Basically, cats win the apocalypse. On farms, things get messy fast. Chickens are wiped out quickly by predators. Cows stand confused in empty fields, mooing for food and water that will never come until hunger silences them. Billions of livestock animals bred entirely to depend on us collapse in numbers almost overnight. But in the forests, the mountains, and the oceans, the wild begins to stir. In 1 month. By now, cities are almost unrecognizable. Silence covers the streets. Weeds and grass split the pavement, growing and pushing their way up through every crack. Vines crawl across lampposts and traffic lights as if they're reclaiming what humans stole. Birdsongs return, echoing through skyscraper canyons where car horns once blared. But not everything is peaceful. Nuclear reactors around the world begin to fail. Some melt down entirely, releasing clouds of radioactive toxins. Ironically, those zones dangerous for us will eventually become havens for wildlife, just like Chernobyl today. Wolves, wild horses, and boars move into the radioactive wastelands, thriving in the absence of humans. Nature doesn't care if the soil glows in the dark, it just adapts. Meanwhile, the night sky transforms. For the first time in centuries, the Milky Way shines unobstructed by smog and light pollution. Billions of stars twinkle above, dazzling and beautiful. In 1 year, 12 months without humans, and the Earth already looks cleaner. Carbon emissions drop by 7%. Skies are clear, rivers run clean, and fish return to streams once choked with chemicals. The planet is taking a deep breath for the first time in centuries. Our buildings, however, aren't doing so great. Roads crack and crumble under the cycle of heat and cold. Bridges weaken without maintenance. Wolves begin prowling through Times Square. Deer graze along abandoned highways. The cityscapes that once held millions are becoming playgrounds for wild animals. And somewhere in the middle of it all, the last McDonald's burger is probably still intact. In 5 years. By now, the transformation is undeniable. Wooden houses rot and collapse as roofs cave in under the weight of rain and snow. Pavement breaks apart as roots snake through the cracks. Skyscrapers lose their windows, with glass panels shattering to the ground below. Entire neighborhoods become steel and glass forests, slowly being strangled by ivy and vines. Domesticated dogs are no longer recognizable, they've gone fully wild. Cats continue their rise to power, spreading across continents and dominating ecosystems. Rats, cockroaches, and other scavengers multiply at an insane rate. In 20 years. After 2 decades, human civilization is unrecognizable. New York City is a jungle. Central Park has stretched across Manhattan, swallowing skyscrapers in green. The subway tunnels below have become underground rivers teeming with fish. Elsewhere, Las Vegas is buried beneath desert sands. Dams collapse, releasing floods that reshape valleys. Concrete highways crumble into moss-covered trails. The earth is shaking off the scars we left behind, like brushing dirt off its shoulders. In 50 years. Half a century in, the world is almost free of us. Skyscrapers collapse one after another as rust eats away their steel bones. Once proud towers are reduced to skeletal ruins. Bridges, too, crumbling into the sea, the Golden Gate Bridge. Once an icon of engineering and selfies, now lies twisted and broken in the waves. Forests expand across continents. Grasslands cover what used to be farmland, and predators reclaim lost ground. Wolves, bears, and even tigers roam territories they hadn't seen in centuries. For the first time in modern history, the planet is breathing freely again. In 100 years, a century passes and most of our traces are gone. Concrete has crumbled to dust, cities are buried beneath soil, sand, and roots. Even areas devastated by nuclear meltdowns are now bursting with wildlife. Wolves, bison, and wild horses thrive in radioactive zones where humans once feared to go. Radiation lingers, but nature adapts faster than anyone expected. In the oceans, fish, whales, and sharks explode in population. With no hunting, no plastic garbage trucks dumping into the sea, marine life surges back in ways we can barely imagine. Humanity's impact has nearly disappeared. In 500 years. Now Earth looks like an entirely different planet. Forests, jungles, and deserts stretch across continents. Cities are buried under trees and dirt. Almost nothing of us remains. Almost. A few of our strongest monuments endure, like the Great Pyramids of Giza, the Great Wall of China, and Mount Rushmore with its stone faces staring blankly into the wilderness. Everything else is dust. The ozone layer has healed, the skies are clean, and the air is purer than at any time since the Ice Age. In 1,000 years, steel, iron, and glass are nothing but dust. Only stone, radioactive waste, and plastic remain. Plastic bottles, shopping bags, and microplastics drifting in the ocean. Those are our real pyramids and our true monuments. Landfills stand like mountains, outlasting entire cities. When aliens show up one day, they won't find skyscrapers. They'll find water bottles. That's our legacy. In 10,000 years, even the strongest monuments begin to crumble. The pyramids collapse. The Great Wall disappears into the hills. The last traces of humanity are fragments, fossils of our bones, shards of glass buried in the dirt, radioactive scars that glow faintly, and plastic, always plastic. That is the signature of our species. In 1 million years, Earth has buried us completely. Plate tectonics have swallowed our cities, grinding them into the planet's crust. New mountains rise where skyscrapers once stood. Oceans shift, continents drift, and the planet continues its eternal cycle, completely indifferent to the creatures that once thought they owned it. If intelligent life evolves again, they may one day dig up fragments of us. They'll find fossils of strange creatures who built vast cities, changed the atmosphere, and then vanished in an instant. To them, we will be a legend, a mystery written not in books but in stone, plastic, and radioactive ash. Here's the truth. Within a single century, almost everything we've ever built would be gone. Within 10,000 years, only fragments remain. And within 1 million years, humanity would be nothing more than a fossil in the Earth's crust. The Earth doesn't need us. It will heal. It will thrive. It will move on. The question isn't what happens if we vanish. The question is, what happens if we stay? Because right now, the future of this planet still lies in our hands.